We talk a little bit about Dane Calloway, the man who has been talking about the native roots of many of the colored tribes across the Americas, North America specifically, the United States. It sparks good conversation, and obviously those who don't know Dane Calloway or know him a little bit or know him well realize that he does research on these things. So it's very good, a good change up, you know. So I can see that Dane Calloway is not the type to want to be looked upon as, oh, look at me. You know, sometimes you see people and they're on a particular mission, and that mission is more important than a lot of the missions that a lot of people are on who are in the public sphere constantly or consistently. You know, certain people are pushed to the forefront to create ideas that keep us in a particular place. So you know, in ancient times they have things they call prophets, people who are guided by God or by an angel, and we have been taught to think that prophethood is something that is not of this time. A lot of people consider a lot of reggae artists as prophets. You know, you may not necessarily think of a rapper as a prophet, but then we don't know exactly what a prophet is. They were men, right? Bob Marley, prophet. Peter Tosh, you know, Sizzler, Capleton, Vaughn Benjamin. One of my top, Peter Tosh and Vaughn Benjamin, is my top two. You know, you might think of, well, Muslims wouldn't think of Malcolm X as a prophet because of his beginnings, or Martin Luther, you know, but I'm sure there are many. And the Dane Calloways of the world, you know, it's not like Dane Calloway brought you a book and say, let me interpret this book for you, look at this scripture, you know. So there's not just one way that a prophet can be. You know, they have this saying that what was in the beginning, so shall it be in the end, you know. And the light that shines on every man that inspires him, we cannot really see it or explain it. We do know that they deliver certain information. Some find it good, some don't. And then in most cases, we don't live long enough to see the fruition or to see the conclusion or the outcome of the vibes, you know. But Dane Calloway has been doing some great works. And there are many, they may not be in the forefront, and some people just do certain research for themselves and feel content in that. But there's some people who, for whatever reason, come to the forefront, not necessarily promoted or pushed, but, you know, the creator decides who should be at the forefront in terms of certain types of information. They're handpicked, you know, like masters of generations. Like, once again, you know, masters of generations don't have to be about the upliftment of people. It could be in the entertainment field. It could be in a household, you know, to push forward certain types of people into the world. Although we know that certain types of people may far outnumber, certain other types, but there are a few things I would still like to know. What was the tongue of the natives or the indigenous? I don't know if I want to call them Indians. I'll call them the native tribes of the Americas, or the original tribes, or the ancient tribes of the Americas. What languages did they speak before colonization and corporation type vibes came to the West? One man can say that, okay, if you're black skinned or colored skin or brown, different shades of copper, bronze, at some point you had to come from Africa. I can agree to that to a degree, but not necessarily, because I am of the mindset that man didn't necessarily start in one place. Just like plants didn't start in one place, just like cells, minerals didn't start in one place. It's all spread out. Some may develop faster, and we're talking about millions of years, sometimes tens of thousands, even trillions, because this universe we know has always been. But let's speak about just the landmass. Were these people from the continent of Africa thousands of years ago, or tens of thousands, or 100,000s of years ago? And in recent history, recent meaning of the last 10,000 years, 5,000 years, 2,000 years, what languages were they speaking? And how are those languages now integrated with the languages that we speak from the colonizers? Because I know specifically in the Caribbean, they may speak English or French, but they call some of the utterances patois or dialects. So that would be good to really know what were the definitive languages of these tribes, and I saw something some years ago. It's a white guy doing a research on some old bones and whatnot, and he said, look, the oldest bones in the Americas, they have many similarities to the, I don't know if he used the word Negro, he might have, in Africa. The thing about it is, most studies say that black people were the dominant people. We call them black, but we obviously know that there are many shades, of copper and bronze and brown and those type of shades, red, we know that they were spread out across the whole planet. There's proof of that in so many ways, not even just the deeper scientific cellular structure, not even just the bio, but in their expressions, artistry, building, the way they move and dance, and ideas. Like, we know those constructs were first with these people, so that's something I would like to know. I'll do my little research on certain things. I never get too deep into it, because I understand that for me personally, that there's certain things that have to occur on a daily basis, and I know that life is short, and I suspect that the unseen force inside of us that causes us to live, the consciousness, the soul, or the spirit, I suspect is transitional and can maintain memory. I can't say that for a fact. It's a belief I have, a faith I have. I mean, just because of my interaction with spirit, human spirit, or I guess people who are not in a fleshly form, that is what kind of opened my eyes to certain things, to know that is actually real, and I don't have to read it in a book or ask someone. I experience these things for myself, so the earth is not the end all be all for me, from my understanding, from my perspective. It's not the end all be all. So I know we can dive deep into whose land this is, and rightfully so. I know we can get deep into it. What is our inheritance? What is our contributions? Because at the end of the day, everything around you is branding and names and titles and families and generations. So it's good to have that, also. So I'm from the West, the Caribbean island. We call it the Rock, or Dudley, or some know it as Antigua, or Ladley, or Dudley. One of the early islands that Christopher Columbus saw. But anyway, as you get older, I don't know if anybody ever experienced this, where somebody's tracking down their family. And apparently this white woman reached out to me. There are a few people who have reached out to my family at different periods of time. But this particular white woman found me, and was telling me about some of my ancestry that were natives. And I think she married into my family somehow. But she was telling me about some great grandfather of mine who was a native of North America, so that was interesting to me. I'm not sure how she would know that. And she wanted me to meet her family, or some people who have that bloodline mixed with her white gene, but that never developed into anything. So yeah, I'm not sure if I've ever heard Dane Calloway talk about the God that is worshipped in the West. If there's any scripts, I know they call the God the Great Spirit of Gautama, but were all the tribes into that type of consciousness or understanding? That would be interesting to know. So languages, who and what they praised and worshipped, the prophecies. I know at one point the Mayan calendar was heavy, in the social media sphere, you know. So I'm not sure what became of that. But all in all, Dane Calloway is obviously a historian, but it's something a little bit more spiritual. It's a breath of fresh air, you know. It's something that can't be denied. Like when you see a Caucasian person, you know that person is from Europe. But the irony about the colored tribes, we are from everywhere at some point in history. And that is the mystic. You know, we're the first prophets, the first philosophers, scientists, mathematicians, artisans, engineers, inventors, creators. You know, and not just the good. We have been everything in history. It's like right now. I was just talking to a brethren today. Funny. An old brethren hit me up, and I was telling him that he was a ball player, a very charismatic, very positive guy. But the things that I see Steph Curry do today is stuff that he was doing in the early 90s. The same way, same proficiency. He was a better ball handler than Steph and quicker than Steph. And when I told him that, he said, yeah, he was before his time. And you would have to see it to believe it. You know? It's like we are so much of everything, it's not even funny. You know, sometimes it's highlighted, sometimes it's suppressed. You know. But yeah, Dane Calloway is doing some phenomenal works. You know, that is a beautiful thing when somebody can come on the scene and not just fit into what's given to them. You know, to acknowledge inspiration and formulate their own vibes, you know, instead of just going into maybe a holy book, or you know, or maybe into political philosophies and letting that be the foundation. I think the foundation is in all of us, and we have to search and find it. What is important can't just be easily found. You have to go and dig up the dirt and find it for yourself. A lot of times, a lot of people don't want to do that. They want something just handed to them, you know. So that's what I take out of people like Dane Calloway, is to personally find truth for myself, you know. And the bigger picture for me, being closer to this creator that is expressed in so many books and so many religions, that's my main thing. To see and find the creator for myself. Of course, we can't get away from the, you know, because a lot of ideas have already been given to us. They're right here on the face of the earth. We subscribe to some of them, but you can't stay in grade 1 forever, because life don't work that way. What you were at a day old is not what you are at whatever you are now. There's a reason why people grow from a baby to a man. You look so different, a baby to a woman. The creator is showing us something. You never stay at one level. So you get a book, and that is baby. So in 40, 50 years, you're going to tell me that same book I'm not saying it's not applicable in some ways, but that book has the same text in it. Yeah, we have the same makeup in us that we were as a baby, but we have grown. Physically, mentally, spiritually. So, that is what I would hope people would do. Simply grow. And not just stay stagnant. Stagnant water is dead. Stagnant anything is dead. It feeds upon itself. You know what I'm saying? Of course, it can be purified and recycled. You know? But hopefully it's for the better. But you don't know what it is. Love and honor, power and light. Every breath of life is the future. Precise increments to show slow growth can be. The sum of all man's knowledge is to ascend and progress forevermore.